Good afternoon, everyone. I am Karen Chung, Executive Director of the American Friends of Jamaica. Before we get started, I'm going to ask that our participants all mute their phones and devices. We hope you, your family, friends, colleagues, and circle of loved ones are well. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge effect on the economy, public health, and nonprofits. Several weeks ago, the AFJ shifted immediately to remote staffing. We have had to think outside of the box to continue fulfilling our mission for Jamaica. While the world pivots, we're working hard to innovate and stay ahead. We're counting on our sponsors, partners, and donors even more now. I am pleased we have been able to shift to this celebratory virtual experience for our grant ceremony. Amidst all of this, we hope to inspire a positive feeling. I'm even more pleased to announce that grants presented for the current period 2019 to 2020 totaled over $1 million. Yes, grants for the current period 2019 to 2020 totals over $1 million. Today, on this virtual broadcast, we will announce nearly $284,000 in grants that would have been presented during our traditional format at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve at the American Friends of Jamaica. I am fortunate to work with a board of directors who really love Jamaica. We have with us today Ambassador Sue Cobb, Ambassador Glenn Holden, Ambassador Pamela Bridgewater, Ambassador Gary Cooper, Ambassador Brenda Johnson, Jim Chada, Glenn Creamer, Laura Tanna, Monica Ladd, Sydney Ingle, Pat Falkenberg, Kathleen Newman, and our program analyst from Jamaica, Francis Fulton. I would like to acknowledge our dedicated team and our volunteers in New York and Miami who help us each year to execute our fantastic galas. At this time, I would like to welcome our president, Wendy Hart.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Grantees, the AFJ board, Grant Committee Chair Laura Tanna, and all the friends of the AFJ and of Jamaica who have chosen to join us at our grant ceremony today, whether by Zoom or on a streaming platform. It has become customary and important for all of us to check in with each other, to make sure our friends and family are well, but that may not be enough. I want to acknowledge that at some level, each of us is struggling during this time. Your issue may be isolation, or that your kids are not in school. It may be your job, it may be your business, the program you run, the constituents you are trying to support. The struggle is real, but it will not be forever. Jerome Powell of the US Federal Reserve recently said, "None of us has the luxury of choosing our challenges. Fate and history provide them for us. Our job is to meet the tests we are presented." Our board, our executive director, Karan Chung, and the US Federal Reserve team at the AFJ is committed to meeting the test presented by COVID-19. Quickly, a container of over US $100,000 of PPE and similar equipment was shipped to the University Hospital of the West Indies. A fund was raised for critical medical equipment, and now we have added partnering with the PSOJ-led initiative for the Jamaica Response Fund with a heavy emphasis on food security. This challenge has resulted in a reconsideration of our traditional discretionary grants programs as we pivot to address some of the most immediate needs of the people of Jamaica. This was an extremely difficult decision, as this program is at the core of the AFJ's nearly 40 years of work. However, I know it is also widely supported because as we reach out to many of the program leaders we partner with, the issue of rising hunger for their constituents is discussed time and time again. This has also been a time to build on long-standing and new partnerships. We have worked with Issa Trust Foundation, We Care for Cornwall, and Food for the Poor on critical medical equipment for isolation units, Lasco Foundation on food relief, and with the family of Kevin Wright to establish an engineering scholarship at UWI in his honor. One of our most important initiatives, the renovation of Chapelton Hospital in Clarendon, remains ongoing. Our longtime friend and supporter, Ms. Beverly Nichols, made a donation of US $1 million, approximately 135 million Jamaican dollars, to add a new ward and for much needed renovations at Chapelton Hospital. Ms. Nichols' own experience in building a successful healthcare company brought the needs of the community she loves to her attention, and her donation led the government of Jamaica to make a significant commitment to the balance of the improvements, and we look forward to the reopening of the hospital later this year. We will also continue moving forward on several important other initiatives that have been priorities, such as the STEM program at MICO and our ophthalmology partnership with Orbis. Jamaica's national anthem contains words of wisdom for this time. Teach us true respect for all, stir response to duty's call, strengthen us the weak to cherish, give us vision lest we perish. As we work together through these challenging months ahead, we invite those who have joined us for this ceremony to stay connected. If you are in a position to make a donation, please give generously. If you run a charity, let's discuss how we can help you reach out to your supporters. Know that the American Friends of Jamaica will be here, working to help meet the tests of our time. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce our Grants Committee Chair, Laura Tanner.
Laura, you need to unmute.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you so much, President Wendy Hart, for those really thoughtful words. We at the American Friends of Jamaica are proud to be giving out over $284,000 US. That's over $250,000 US in both discretionary and donor-advised grants in this ceremony today, April 30th, 2020. The discretionary grants go to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, this is for ventilators, to COVID-19 food relief in cooperation with the PSOJ and the CVSS, to Open Arms Development Center, and to Southern Basketball. This is an organization that's working in one of the most impoverished and violent garrison communities in Jamaica today, and to Vital Sign Monitors, which would be for island-wide distribution. Those are the discretionary grants. Now, the donor-advised grants are going to Bull Savannah Primary, Cornwall Regional Hospital, Creative Learning, Fight for Peace, Friends of Hopewell, the Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the JSPCA, Jamaica Trail Project, Rosetown Foundation, Sacred Heart, School for the Deaf, St. Mary's Preparatory, Success by Six, Treasure Beach Women's Group, Women's Leadership Jamaica, Violence Prevention, and to the University of the West Indies bursaries on behalf of Ambassador Sue Cobb, Ambassador Gary Cooper, Ambassador Glenn Holden, Ralph and Ricky Lauren Family Foundation, and Kevin Paul Wright Scholarship. And now I would like to invite our program analyst, Francis Fulton, who is going to introduce you to 4 of the grantees who will give you a short idea of where that money will be going. Thank you. Francis?
Thank you, Laura, and good afternoon, everyone. Normally at this time of year, we have our donors on site for a lot of activities, including site visits to our grantees, so they can see for themselves how their funds are helping and supporting communities in Jamaica. Unfortunately, we can't do that this year. However, we are fortunate enough to have 4 of our grantees with us, and they're going to give you a little bit of an overview about how the funds are utilized and what communities are benefiting from these grants. We could start off with Dennis O'Calvin Martin from Southern Basketball. Southern Basketball operates in the Majesty Gardens area, which Laura was mentioning. And I know, Dennis, you're going to be able to tell us who is benefiting from the program and how you operate things there in Majesty Gardens.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fulton. The executive of the Southern Basketball Conference wishes to express our thanks to the AFJ for its continued support for our life skills and basketball project in the community of Majesty Garden, which came
Town, St. Annie, St. Albans, in the Molynes area, for those of you Jamaicans, in the Kingston, in Montego Bay, Granville, Albion, Duncans, in Falmouth, Hague. So a lot of these have been identified as hotspots for volatile violence communities. Once the guidance counselor and the teacher identifies the child who is at risk for violence, by a series of criteria, they're referred into the program and they stay with us for 1 year. So usually we're doing after-school activities that include reading, learning support via the computer, as well as regular methodology. We do sports and cultural arts to teach the life skills. And we have a high level of parenting and family counseling and home visits, along with nutritional support. So generally, we also do teacher training for the teachers of which the children are referred. We're currently operating at 4 centers. And as I said, 22 feeder schools feed the children in. For our COVID response, we've had to redesign the process, and we're mostly focusing on the needs that have been identified in our parent phone survey, which we've just completed for the 220 families on the program. And the main need, as Wendy pointed out right now, is food. Most of them have lost their jobs. So we're focusing on care packages, which include food items, but we're dubbing the program right now for this term as just simply feeding and reading. For the reading aspect, we have been working in small WhatsApp groups with our children. We have 44 facilitators in these various vulnerable communities, and we've attached 6 children per facilitator, and they're currently working on doing small group WhatsApp video teaching. Our biggest challenge, as you can imagine, is data and having access to Wi-Fi, but we're working through the kinks. And as our name suggests, the resiliency program is one that is innovative and inspired to be able to rise to the challenge. And we've had a great response from the families. They're extremely grateful. The AFJ grant specifically is targeted for the communities in Montego Bay. So we're currently sending out care packages to Granville, Albion, Mount Salem, Barracks Road, have just received as we speak. And in there is also a reading book for the children and worksheets, and we're continuing to work with them. So there's extreme gratitude coming from all levels at the community level. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. That was lovely. We'd like to introduce Kelly Magnus now from Fight for Peace International. She is, our grant funds were used to execute a book club, which I'm sure she'll tell you all about.
Thanks, Francis, and good afternoon, AFJ board, staff, and other grantees. This event always feels really special to me, so I'm happy that it's still happening, even though it's virtual. AFJ funds a book club in our program, the Up Unity and Peace program, which is a violence prevention program that runs in about 6 communities downtown Kingston. And we have a whole raft of other programs that cover sport, education, youth leadership, and psychosocial support. But what I have always loved about the book club is that it's a part of the program that really is less structured and allows young people to thrive as they would if they lived in any other community in Kingston. Like Kim has said, we've tweaked our program to address the immediate COVID response needs. So we've done a combination of moving our programming online, yes, even to sports, and then also providing emergency services, food drops, referrals to state services for our young people and their parents. But I am really, really grateful to AFJ for allowing us funding to continue the book club, because what has been really challenging in communities that are riddled with poverty and violence is that so many of the protective factors are being taken away to provide healthcare responses, and there are very few opportunities remaining for kids to just be kids. And we're seeing increasing needs. So, access to education being a huge priority, hunger being a huge priority, but also a great deal of fear and anxiety. And so we're very grateful that we're allowed to continue the book club, which allows us to provide psychosocial support through bibliotherapy. We have a trained psychologist who participates in the book club. It allows us to create opportunities for engagement between kids and their families. But I think even more important at this time, it just allows space for kids to be kids and to let their imaginations run free. So thank you very much for your continued support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for that. I'd like to introduce, last but not at all least, Ruth Danke, who is the Executive Director of the Rosetown Foundation. I said Rosetown because apparently it's two words. Could you tell us how the AFJ funding has impacted the people of your community, please?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here as always. And I must say, listening to my colleagues, it's always so inspiring. You get caught up in your little world and all that you're doing there. And it is so wonderful to hear the other work that's going on and to really feel like you're part of a real movement to make a difference in life. So thank you. Thank you, colleagues. You've inspired me. Rosetown has benefited from a long association with AFJ. We have been supported in our after-school program over the years. Of course, right now there's no school. So our after-school program has morphed into a small, hands-on support for the children. Luckily, we have 2 locations that have internet access. One of them has a small computer lab. So what we've been doing is having small groups of children come in and they get support in doing their schoolwork. Many of their schools are sending homework. Unfortunately, most of the parents are not able to assist in the completion of the work. What they've been doing is just sending it to my staff and then sending the children and say, do something. So we have been able to continue that program. One of the big pluses, as was mentioned, not only access to education, but hunger is an issue. So we've been able to provide meals for these children as well, which makes a big difference. And then we also work with the parents. So we bring in the parents or parent support groups.
Is anybody else able to hear Ruth? No, Ruth, you're breaking up, I'm afraid. So I'm unfortunately going to have to move on. And we know that you're doing some excellent work in the community there in Rosetown. Are you back?
Learning program for them.
No.
Okay, all right. Well, sorry about that. We would have loved to hear a little bit more about the Rosetown program as well, although we do know that Ruth is working very hard there in the community. And I know that her sewing program has been making masks for distribution around the community, and the Rosetown Library is also open for small groups to be able to access the internet and be able to get on with some work in that way.
Making masks, yes. Our children.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for all the great work you're doing. I do want to say a quick shout out to the New York office and the team, Karen's team, who put all of this together while in lockdown in New York, one of the scariest places on earth right now. And we're so very proud of them and so very happy that we can continue this work. I mean, I know I'm delighted to know that we're still getting that sponsorship and that support from our American friends in New York and around the world. And I'd like to introduce you now over to Ambassador Pamela Bridgewater, who will be doing some closing remarks for us. Pamela, you need to unmute.
The New York office has muted us.
While we wait for Ambassador Bridgewater, would any of our directors like to say a couple of words in closing?
Well, could we just have Pam Lawson say a word from the JSPCA since she's right here?
Certainly.
Pam Lawson,
Thank you
could you
very
just
much,
say a word about the JSPCA?
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Tanner. I want to thank you all for the donation. I do. And just
so I could.
to let you all know that we're going to continue trying to help the animals as best as we can in this time, as people are abandoning them when they need them most.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you in our listener audience, we do hope this ceremony has given you a good sense of the important work the AFJ continues to do across Jamaica. This is where the rubber hits the road. I say that every year when we're presenting grants in our traditional format in Kingston. This is where our work really shows how it's impacting people's lives in Jamaica. Your support of our organization is very important, and we are grateful for all you do to help us fulfill our mission for Jamaica. Ambassador Bridgewater?
Still trying. Do you have me yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, grant recipients, Friends of Jamaica. The American Friends of Jamaica is so very pleased to have awarded to the organizations and communities you represent financial support that will enhance and enlarge the invaluable and impressive work in which you are engaged. Our President, Wendy Hart, Executive Director, Karen Chung, Board of Directors, and the many Friends of Jamaica in the United States and in Jamaica have, through their efforts and generous contributions, enabled us to support your efforts in education, community development, health, economic empowerment, peace building, violence mitigation, and other activities. As you know, our funding of projects was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and AFJ's decision to direct some financial support to Jamaica's efforts to mitigate COVID-19. Nonetheless, AFJ decided that we would fund those grant proposals that rose to the top of need and had the greatest potential for maximum transforming and lasting impact on recipient communities. I congratulate warmly each of you to whom we have entrusted our support. I extend sincere appreciation to Francis Fulton, our program analyst who has visited you and learned firsthand about your programs and projects, to Dr. Laura Tanner, our grants committee chair, to Monica Ladd, and to all of those who have reviewed scores of very worthy projects. We all strive for a better educated, healthier, and economically empowered Jamaica, and you are poised to help ensure those outcomes. A big up also to our New York office. We thank you. And to our recipients, once more, we know that our faith in you is well placed and that we shall see benefits and lasting impact for those whom you represent and for Jamaica, land we love. I wish each of you Godspeed and good health. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thanks, everyone. That's the end of our program. Thank you for taking the time. And we look forward to connecting again soon.